Hello, folks, and welcome back to the least optimized playthrough of Borderlands 2 that you ever shall see. And it is about as popular as you would expect. We have, I think, 15 people in God's green earth that actually know this exists, but that's quite all right. Welcome to each and every one of you. Thank you so much for stopping by. I do it for the love of the game. And because I did it. I played it, so I might as well put it out there, you know. But I mean, it's I didn't realize how old this game is. We're talking a decade, I believe.
Sweet. Love is in the air.
In a manner of speaking. So, for those who are just joining us,
That's probably not an omen or anything.
we just finished Wham Bam Island, which is kind of the Easter equivalent of the Headhunter pack in the game. We are now doing what, as best as I can tell, is the equivalent of St. Patrick's Day mixed in with Valentine's Day.
For years now, but it's time for peace. Let's go talk to the preacher I hired.
Okie dokie. So yeah, it's going to be quirky. We're going to be fighting. I think it's the Hodunks or the. We're going to be fighting both Hodunks and.
Where is he?
I can't remember the Irish fellows' names.
There he is.
But yeah, I mean, keeping in mind this is Borderlands version of Valentine's, Borderlands version of St. Patty's Day. So it's bastardized. That's kind of the theme. But
we will ensure their pairing and bring peace to both clans. My hat looks like a penis.
there you go. See, it's very.
Anyway,
It's
those
not
lovers are
quite
nearby.
juvenile humor.
Come
There is a line I think that was crossed with Borderlands 3 when they had their
without a hitch.
poop gun or something. It was literally like a gun that shot crap or something. Like this game was always crass. The jokes are crass. I mean, you got all the kinds of stuff that say this is, but it's not necessarily lowbrow per se. It's again, it's crass, but not poop jokes, like literally crappy jokes. Borderlands 3 kind of, I would say, jumped the shark. But you could certainly argue that that's not the case, that there's juvenile
How about that?
humor found in here. But I don't remember any fart jokes in Borderlands 2. Again, stuff that you could argue is a little twisted, a little macabre, some dark humor. You know, in that case, some sexualized humor, or sex jokes or what have you. But I think that's different than pull my finger, poop. But now, see, that's satisfying when you can one-shot a Thresher that gives you 325, 312. When you can one-shot him, that lets you know that you've got the Bee. Because it means you're not overpowered as a character, but I mean we do have the volcano, and I think it's the, I'm trying to remember the name of this particular volcano. The sniper rifle. So there's always a prefix when you have stuff. You'll have for most of these things you'll have. Why did I pause here? What's going on? Well, I might as well not pause myself. Clearly, I paused the game for some reason at this particular moment, but I'm sure I'll be back in a moment. And if not, well, we'll just delete this particular part of the video and pick up when I'm back. Okay, there we go. I suspected there was some legitimate reason. Probably somebody came in or knocked or something, and I had to go into the door. I don't know. But yeah, just very satisfying. It's one thing to one-shot creatures and get 10 XP off of it. It's like, yeah, I'm level 21, you're level 2. Of course it's going to happen, or level 18 even. But when you're, I mean, no, I am overpowered. I am 20 and I'm 21 and they're 20. So I still have the advantage. But despite that, it's still giving me a decent amount of love for it, and that is satisfying. So just a refresher, we got the Bee back on episode 7, halfway through episode 7. I had slowly begun using it more and more, and I think we're right around the point now where I will be using it exclusively, even in situations where it's less than ideal, i.e. situations where there's a lot going on, a lot of stuff is hitting you, your shield is not full. But I still did it to give myself the challenge of essentially playing with really no shield, because as you get more powerful, as bad guys get more powerful, that 488 means less and less. You should be able to see it here. It's slightly behind my quasi-invisible body.
Serving my energy to knock the tar out of Colin.
Oh, great. guess there's trouble in paradise, but we still need him to get married. If the
Yeah,
clans are
paradise
going
is
to
such a
war.
generous
Just kill him.
word.
Thankfully, I know an old love potion recipe. We'll need something new, something old, something borrowed, and something gold. Ooh, I just found
You see it, what they subverted your expectation that. You thought they were going to say something blue, because that's usually what it is.
coordinates. Booyah!
But they made it gold, which is much more Borderlands, I would say. So yeah, the playthrough that we're doing encompasses the full game, although not the complete game, and also includes headhunter packs. I think this might be the last of them. We've done Halloween, we've done Easter, we did Christmas,
And he's not yours, so if you take
we did
him for a
Thanksgiving. Yeah, I think this is the last headhunter pack.
borrow.
So after this, we'll probably jump it back. I can't remember. I think we jump back into the main game. We play that for a little while. Then we do Captain Scarlet and Pirate's Booty DLC. Jump back in the game a little bit more. Then we do Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep. And I think by accident, without thinking about it, I think I actually beat that before I beat the actual game. Was not intentional. I wanted to get it right up until we were about to beat it, and then go back to the game and then return to Tiny Tina's Assault. But I know, I remember distinctly I failed to do that, so it's a little bit out of order. But you will get to see the whole thing. We've got another 15 episodes left, which is kind of a lot. But it's a big game, and with those 2 DLCs, kind of makes sense. Another nice banger of a track by the good folks that do the music. And I don't recall, because again, in this playthrough I mentioned before, we don't actually do the Hodunk and Zafford quest line, where we go and instigate a clan war. It just didn't seem right. Like, I mean, we can be all kinds of messed up. We can be all kind of greedy and money hungry and all that kind of stuff. But I just don't feel right instigating a battle between 2 disparate groups of people who, I believe in their heart of hearts, truly want to get along and love each other. And they're on the cusp of really transforming Borderlands with their love and with their selflessness. And then we go in there for a pittance, really. We're not getting anything amazing from the quest. We go in there and we piss them off. We piss them off at each other. And they wipe each other out. And Borderlands is worse off for it, so we don't do that. But see, this is one of those situations where having the bee doesn't really help, because it's not benefiting us. Again, it's kind of hard to see where I'm sitting, but... Okay, now our bee is back up and running. But as soon as you lose a little bit of health, and the shield is anything under 100%, you no longer have. So right now we just lost. We're not operating with the bee. So it's a very fickle mistress. It's a very tentative bonus that really punishes you for messing up. But luckily, we do have, maybe they call it the Dandy Volcano. That might be the prefix. But I think that is really what's saving us here. And we also do have, for anybody curious or paying attention, we do have the fastball hand grenade, which is just a really powerful, really concentrated, one explosion. You throw it like you would a baseball or a fastball, and whatever it hits, it pretty much kills, unless it's way overpowered. And so we'll be taking that really to the later stages of the game versus grabbing another hand grenade. I just like the precision more.
But one of those poor slave bots got locked out too. Maybe talk to him?
Woe is me. My beloved girlfriend bot slaves away inside the distillery, and I cannot save her due to my pre-programmed self-esteem issues.
That loader should be strong enough to bust open the doors. Why don't you give him some words of encouragement?
There really is some
Blah, blah, blah. Love conquers all. Blah, blah. Romance. Blah. Open the friggin' door.
Huh. Okay, well, just as I was talking about the writing being clever, we get that. But, I mean, it is still, it's, you know, in the barbaric and crass lands of Borderlands, the characters often say some very witty and hyper-observant things, which I find comical. Not all of it, and the shtick does kind of get old at different points, but overall, I would say the writing in Borderlands 2 is really good. I mean, and it's such a leap from Borderlands 1. Borderlands 1 was like very little, it was almost all functional. There were moments, if I remember correctly, of like, oh, that's kind of funny, or kind of sardonic humor. But for the most part, you didn't really have much character to work with. So to go from that to this is really good. Unfortunately, they just got, I think, some bad direction, or they decided to go into a bad way with it. So the story and the characters in Borderlands 3 really suffered. So this is pretty much where my journey ended. I did do the pre-sequel, which I remember to be fun. I've mentioned that before, but just not as replayable. That said, it's probably the same with any game that you play a whole lot with, or you play many times. You get through your 10th playthrough maybe, and you say, you know what, I just can't imagine ever playing this game again. Like, I think I've pretty much plumbed its depths. I've gotten about as much out of this game as you can possibly get. And then, yet, I find myself coming back to it every so often. If you can't take heat, make kitchen. I think that's what he said. Wise words for us all.
Junkbot! Oh, how I've missed you!
Oh, Stella! I've noticed that beautiful blonde hair anywhere.
That's a lot of whiskey. You've got to find the high-quality old stuff. You'd better put your lips around
Sorry, I got lost in my own thoughts there. There's definitely an amusing interaction here. And I don't play this DLC or this Headhunter pack very often, so I kind of forgot what's involved. Like, here we are, we're getting drunk, and I can appreciate the creativity of actually giving your character the effect of being drunk. It doesn't make the game prohibitive to play, but it definitely does makes it much more challenging.
That's the stuff. Grab some of that whiskey and we'll get to the next ingredient.
I think I remember wondering or being afraid that it was going to continue to do that as you fought. And if I'm not mistaken, I think one of the main quests of the game, there is something, because there's a gun you get, right? There's
gotta be some around here.
It's one of those things where if you complete the quest, you turn it in and you lose the gun, but there's a gun that it's a really good gun. But I think the quest, you actually have to do some fighting while you're inebriated, and it might even be in this one. I don't remember. I just remember it being very difficult at certain points. Yeah, a fire weapon, an incendiary weapon against a robot with no B shield, with the B shield not functioning, not a good idea. And for anybody who doesn't know, ideally you want to get in the habit, if you're playing Borderlands, you want to get in the habit of having a iridium-based weapon, a slag weapon, as it were. Because as you get into the higher levels, you're going to, in order to do significant damage, or not even make it fast, but just in order to make it through the game, you're going to have to alternate between slag and regular firearms. You need the damage boost that slag gives you. So I do have that. That is one of my 4 guns, but that's when it gets really important to be able to quick switch between your weapons, where you're not cycling through them. You can just hit like up on the D-pad. For me, sniper rifles are always down, SMGs and assault are always up, and then my whatever I'm using as my slag weapon is on the right, and then like shotgun is on the left. And I just try to, get myself programmed for that. Yes, okay, so we are, but it's because the thresher is the tipsy thresher. So when it hits us, we get drunk off of it. So we are experiencing some drunkenness, but it's not because of that. But I think we do get drunk in that if you do the Zafford versus Hodunk quest, I think you get drunk in the bar as well. That's what I mean. See, it's still playable, but you're kind of like, whoa, everything's way off, and I'm not really sure if I'm shooting straight. They do a pretty good job of replicating the effects of a drunkenness of sorts. Still getting some really good XP from each kill. So rather rewarding. You can see we're leveling up. We'll be level. I think we're. I mean, I don't know for a fact. I'm just assuming we get to level 22 by the time this playthrough is over. Like today, we'll be level 22, if not a little bit higher. We'll see. Of course, you got the rainbow there. The pot of gold, in theory, being at the other side. I don't know if I've ever explored that, to be fair. I mean, it's very much there, so you wonder. I very much wonder if there is actually, if they put a pot of gold at the other side. I know there's one quest in the main game where you can follow like a zapper. He's kind of like a leprechaun type character. You can follow him to his little cave where there's the pot of gold or something. But it's a bit of a pain. It's one of those things where you got to follow him. He can't see you. If he sees you, you fail the quest. And I very much appreciate the oof. Walked right into that one. Okay, so yeah, there is a pot of gold at the end of the rain, but well, a bling loader. It's pretty amusing.
That's new. That thing's made out of solid gold.
I totally forgot that that's actually in the game. It's wonderful when your memory is only choosing to remember certain things. It kind of makes a lot of experiences that would otherwise be kind of tedious fresh because you don't remember anything about them. Now, granted, it's been, gosh, I played this back in May? Early to mid-May, I played this. So yes, if you haven't noticed already, I'm hands-free. I'm not playing as I'm commenting. I'm doing the commentary separate from the playthrough, which still haven't decided if it's a hit or miss. If I had a series that was a regular, typical, like, watch it, watch and comment, I could compare those results or that popularity with this, but I have other games where I do live commentary with the gameplay, and it fares about the same. So, still trying to figure out what works better from an audience perspective, because really, you can, you play the game for yourself, you enjoy it, but which game and how the commentary works, that's really, I mean, you're doing it for an audience, so ideally you want to make sure that they're getting what they want out of it. So feel free to comment if you're watching. I feel like I'm a DJ at like 3 o'clock in the morning. If anybody's out there and you have a particular game you'd like to see, or you have an opinion on commentary post-play or commentary during play, I still maintain that commentary after play is going to be more robust than during play, just by virtue of people who do this very often and do have a big audience, and you hear the commentary. Very rarely are you really getting a lot of the commentary. It's a lot of onomatopoeia, a lot of oofs and offs and oh geez and oh and ah. Which I guess that's not all onomatopoeia. I think onomatopoeia isn't onomatopoeia is when you spell it the way it's like oof or pow. Well, he's trucking, isn't he? The Spargan House. The Spargan House. House. Robots need corrosion. And the bee. Look at that. Oh, man. Man, let's get this guy out of here. Chump. Dang. Yeah. Waiting for our bee shield to recharge. There it is. Now we can go back in and finish this guy off easy. Well, never mind. That's fun.
Grab its head. That'll be
Oh, and the corrosion. I was like, wait a minute. Why did we get 2,600 points for punching a zapper? But zapper? Zapper? I don't know.
we need.
But it was the corrosion doing its good work on the robot. Pretty miserable way to go, I guess. Corrosion and incendiary. I mean, if it's instantaneous, you know, sometimes you'll use it and the guy literally incinerates in front of you. But when it's just kind of the fire is just burning and burning and burning, and then they eventually die. It's like, oh.
Now toss in the baby. Ellie, I'm kidding. Don't toss the baby. Just hold it over the mixer and make it cry.
Sometimes you'll be like hungry, but there won't be any food around. So you'll have to like get up and go all the way to the store. Buy some.
Awesome. The baby's crying.
Interesting they get, because I mean, from what I can tell, now granted it is the internet, so you never know what's true and what's not, but my understanding is that they've confirmed that he is
Sounds
a
like the love potion's
cannibal.
mixing as we speak. Hey, with all this talk of marriage, I'm curious. Was there ever a Mr. or Mrs. Vault Hunter in your life?
Of course not. Have you met me? I look like a fist with hair stapled to it.
You know, but that's superficial, man. You know, don't sell yourself short. If you have a sense of humor, chances are you'll still find the love of your life, even as a fist with hair stapled to it, and a hat. We're wearing a hat. Do not forget that.
The potion's done. Grab it. All right, better deliver that silly ass potion and do the dumb marriage, and give the baby back. Yeah, and whatever. Do the thing.
It's just interesting. It's like, you know, if you were to make one of your characters something like a cannibal, which, you know, I mean, I don't even know where to consider a cannibal on a scale of repulsive and repugnant things, but I mean, once you've already killed the person, I'm not sure that it's all that much worse to. I don't know. We're not going to go quite into that, but let's just say it's like that. Like you're kind of going out of your way to make a character extra odd in that way, but then so you can't actually have them act on it because that would be really gross and you'd be like, oh gosh, oh geez, that's really hard to get on board with. Or if you were to say, let me eat the baby, and then he does eat the baby, it's like, whoa, what are we watching here? So they give them an edge that they don't need to give them. But then they never really commit to that edge. They back it off and they make them, you know, oh, we're going to make them nice. Well, they don't make them, they don't put in their bio, don't put in their story that they're, you know, monsters and these, you know, horrible people. Just, you know, they can just be money hungry, do anything for a buck type guys. Like, okay, I don't want them starting a clan war, but if you're going, hey, you pay me enough, I'll do whatever you want. So you can have an amoral or morally ambiguous or just morally reprehensible character, but you don't have to go to like the extremes with them unless you're going to commit to the extremes. Otherwise, it's just flavor text, you know, and that doesn't really do much. Like if you're going to do that, you should incorporate that into their character, into something. Not that I want to see cannibalism incorporated into a character. If indeed that is the thing. I can't remember. I think I read on like the Borderlands wiki or Border wiki or whatever it's called. Which again, it's on the internet, doesn't mean it's true, doesn't mean it's factual. I just haven't cared enough to do more research and see if that is in fact, but I've seen it a few other times, and I've seen it in like comments, you know, if you put the question out there, Quora or whatever it's called, or Reddit. I've seen enough stuff where it seems to be circulating. And it's Borderlands, so I'm like, it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility. But again, if you're not gonna make use of it, if it's not gonna be incorporated into the story, then it's just like, oh, let's just put some gross out stuff in there. It just doesn't seem necessary. Again, not that I want it to go that direction, but commit to the bit. That's all I have to say. Ah, so satisfying. It wasn't a one shot, but technically it was because I actually hit him one time. Oh, no scope. Look at me go. Look at me go. Unstoppable. And I think I do. This is like the first time I think I make it a point to do all the fishing. If you can kind of see, there's around the lake, there's some fishing poles, and you at different points in the playthrough you can collect these like fish. Essentially, it's bait, and you can use it to lure out a thresher and kill it, and in theory get XP and some goodies. I think this is the first time I play through this while also getting. Yep, see, there you go, something like that. Thought I could game the system a little bit. Just
Wait, what's the whole recipe again? Something new, something old, something borrowed, and something gold.
I like
Pretty
that
sure
voice
that's
actor.
it. You sure? Ain't it something blue? What? Blue doesn't rhyme with gold.
I didn't even. I forgot they called that out. Oh, Moxie, you're so silly. Moxie's moments of indignation and humor are all the more better just because she does play the kind of smooth talking, you know, hey there, big fella, you know, that whole shtick. So it's characters like that, it's even funnier when they're like, I don't know, or what are you talking about? It's kind of like, I've mentioned this before, but I don't know if it's been on this playthrough. The guy who was the bad guy in The Crow, he's usually got long black hair. He was in, he was Rochefort, I believe, in Musketeers. He was the bad guy in The Crow, as I said. Anyway, because you never really see him playing any role other than just a mean bad guy, a dark, you know, bad guy. Like, if you ever see him smile, like actually smile, like laughing, or you hear him make a joke, it's like the weirdest thing. Like the first time when I saw, if you ever seen Last of the Mohicans, and I can't remember the actor's name now, unfortunately, but the guy who plays Magua, that's the only role I'd ever seen him in, and it's a very serious role, very powerful role, and it's really well performed. So when the next time I saw that actor was in as the Sphinx in Mystery Men, it was a trip because it was like he's got this goofy costume on and he's saying, I mean, he is at first he's mysterious. So the costume is kind of goofy, but he's still saying things that are very mystical and whatever. And but the first time Ben Stiller's character actually interrupts him, he's got phrases like, you know, Ben Stiller will say, you know, why am I balancing a tack hammer on my head? He says, when you balance a tack hammer on your head, you can head off your foe with a balanced attack. So it's just really goofy, nonsensical turn of phrases, which are actually pretty clever. Some of them. But then he says, why am I wearing watermelon on my feet? He just looks down. I don't remember telling you to do that. So that was pretty funny. But then at one point he goes off on he says, patience, my friend. If you fail to master your rage, and then Ben Stiller interjects, will become your master? That's what you're going to say, isn't it? And he kind of looks at him and looks away. He's like, not necessarily. So it's those moments that are made funnier when you have a character. I mean, this is elementary stuff. I'm not saying anything that's you know, breaking anybody's brain or making me go, whoa, wow, really never noticed that. But I'm just saying I enjoy if the character is super cool, super dark, super evil, and then you put them in a situation where they have to be awkward or, you know, out of their element, or you just give them something actually genuinely funny to do. It makes it so much more enjoyable because you're seeing something so out of character. And if I'm not mistaken, this is actually, yeah, it is Dandy Volcano. I had it right. This is the Dandy Volcano. See, I remember that, but then I don't remember, you know, well, I can't remember what I don't remember, obviously. Otherwise, I'd remember it. But yeah, I think I remember this particularly being brutal, or this being particularly brutal. I've had problems with it before, but it's just, it's a mess. Out of all the headhunters, this is probably the most difficult. That's why I'm backed away and looking, because the thing is, you have to kill both of the lovebirds. You got to kill them. The problem is when you take one of them down, the other one comes at you hard, and the other one will heal while you're being attacked. I think that's how. Oh no, sorry. See, it says the happy couple. So both of them share that health meter, and so you take one of them down, it gets them down to half health, and so ideally what you want to do is get one of them down to close to half health, and get the other one down to close to half health, and so then when you get attacked by the other one, you can finish them off easy. Otherwise, you kill the one, and the other one rushes you down, and it's very difficult when they're focused on you. Very difficult to stay alive. So I am aware of this, yet somehow I don't really play like I'm aware of it. I get kind of carried away. I think many times that I can just. So here we go. So Colin Zafford. And I should be using my fastball, and I don't know why I'm not. But see, there he goes. Now he's down less than half health, and now she's going to come out from wherever she's at the moment. And yeah, she's coming right for us. Or no. Oh, okay. So no, she revives him. See, I can't get anything right. So it looks. I mean, really close, but there we go. It's over. I was almost there. If I had fastballed it, maybe. But that's how fast it turns. She does some CPR on him, and you just get wrecked. So yeah, totally forgot exactly the mechanics of it, but. And I'm pretty sure I just don't get it through my head to do the... I know what I need to do, which is not quite kill him. So that when the time comes, I can just... When the other one comes to revive, I can just one-shot her and be done with it. Or one-shot him, depending on which one you take down. I start trying all these wacky-do strategies, and so I'm pretty sure the rest of this video is us trying to win. I'm just so satisfying. Like I just want to knock him down. I don't want to just like... And I mean, he's a bruiser. So if you leave him alive, he's going to hurt you. Yeah, should have been. See, she's got way too much health, and so it's the same thing. History repeating itself. This is what happens. Insanity is trying the same thing and getting different results, and we're not even as close as we were last time. And our rocket launcher, I'm not sure if it's particularly underpowered, but a rocket launcher doesn't do jack with this squad. And so we're just fighting for our lives here once again, and it's probably not going to go well for us, and it definitely does not. So this is one of those times where I'm not being stubborn. I don't really know what was going through my head, because again, that part I knew. I knew it's better to take down half health. You know, get them both down really low before you get one trying to resuscitate the other one. But I just didn't do it. I don't know if it was being bullheaded or if I was distracted or what. It's always a mystery when you find yourself doing really stupid things, but I can't change the past. All I can do is comment on it, mourn for my stupidity, and hope to be better in the future. It's just funny. It brings up there was a made the mistake. I mean, not 100% of the mistake. I got some good comments back, or some affirming comments back, but there were some, watching some videos, and I decided to make a comment. And it was really, it's one of those rare times where it's like somebody's doing like a podcast or doing an interview, and for some reason, the host and the person, they're having a bit of a disagreement. It's amicable, it's nice, but like you're listening to them, you're like, they're just not saying, if this guy would just say this one sentence, just to clarify, they're saying kind of the same thing, but he's made 2 or 3 statements that when you put them together, they make sense, and they are essentially kind of agreeing with the guy, or they're not saying anything really controversial. But because that person hasn't really outright said it, and the host kind of missed it, for whatever reason, neither of them are able to come to the understanding of what the other one actually needs to hear and what is actually being said. So I got in there in the comments just to kind of clarify. Some people were like, "Oh, I can't believe this guy was saying this." It's like, actually, well, technically, he wasn't saying that at all. He was agreeing. I think he was just saying in retrospect of it. Yeah. Anyway, but I made the comment. I made some comments, and one of the most innocuous ones, most bizarre ones, it was a guy who was talking about. We were talking about the best people for the job, and in the case of my examples, we're talking about like sports. And one guy got on there and was, the guy said, it should be all about finding the right talent and, putting your team together around the talent, and really on nothing else. It needs to be on merit. And some guy got on there and was like, no. I mean, of course, I'm doing the voice, but really he was like, no, man. What did he say? It was something. It's like the reigning NBA champ right now is so-and-so who was scouted from Africa, and he was not considered to be amazing. It's not necessarily about your talent. It's also about the intangibles. And that's why we have these policies, so that we can get those intangibles. And so I was just clarifying. I wanted to clarify with this guy. And I didn't really think about it too much because he wasn't. But as I read that comment, and I found other comments that he read, I was like, I don't think English is his first language. And he also is just kind of a... he's got his own version of reality, we'll put it that way. And very antagonistic in general. But I didn't see that in that comment. I just thought he may not be tracking right. So I pointed out like Akeem Olajuwon was scouted from Nigeria back in 1998 or 94, I think, somewhere around there. Also was not necessarily considered at the time to be a highly sought after acquisition. You know, he was okay, but he wasn't considered amazing. And, you know, ended up going on to have an amazing career. But I said, you know, he wasn't chosen because he was from Africa or because he was of a particular race. He was chosen because he's a freaking great basketball player, or somebody saw the potential in him, just like you're saying about the gentleman who's the MVP now. It's the same kind of thing, but that happened. That was back in 1984, long before it really occurred to anybody that, hey, you know, let's start looking at things other than merit for whether or not we're going to hire them or bring them onto our ball club. It was, especially in sports, there were some barriers that needed to come down. There were some perspectives that needed to be changed. But after that, the floodgates were open. And it was like, hey, grab whoever you can from wherever you can. It's about winning. It's about talent and about winning, not about any of these superficial characteristics. But for some reason, my response, pointing out the Olajuwon thing and just saying, hey, this is 84. Nobody's thinking, oh, we need to include people. I was like, it wasn't chosen because he's from Africa, or, you know, I said that already. Anyway, but he comes back on there. He's like, you're full of lies. You lie and you try to twist the truth and restate the original facts as if they are your own truth. Get over yourself. And arguably, or no, not even arguably, the logic, the logistics just said, just ignore it, because clearly the guy, whatever he's trying to say, but I was genuinely curious, like, what are you thinking that I lied about? Or what twisting of the truth? Like, everything is factual. You know, Hakeem Olajuwon came over. The guy who was chosen wasn't chosen for any reason that they thought he had talent and that he would be really good, and it turns out he is. So I'm not even sure really what the guy's point was in general, but I just thought it was worth mentioning. Hey, you know, we've been doing this for a while, because a lot of times, especially younger folks these days, and it's probably been true of all time, but this time I would say in this day and age, it's less of an excuse, because, you know, if you were to, you know, 30 or 40 years ago say, you know, oh, these young kids today, they don't know their history, they need to go to the library, find a book and using the card catalog, look up that book, flip through the book, and try to find relevant passages in 230-page, 300, 400-page books. You're kind of asking a lot of that generation to do that, to make their way out to the library, to do all that research and everything. Now it's literally just do some quick searching, and just verify your, you know, find multiple sources that can validate, make sure you're not getting any kind of bias in there. Or filter it out. You're going to get some bias checking out another website. If you're only getting one side of the story, actively seek out the other side, or actively seek out facts that may not agree with that. Just to make sure there aren't any. Just to make sure there is nothing, because there's always an argument. That's one thing I learned from doing papers in college. The two things I learned: one, there's always an argument. There's always going to be somebody with a different opinion or different view on something. And the other thing is, a lot of times they're experts. They're no less credible than the people that are saying the things that you agree with. It's just who you choose to believe, what study you choose to believe. Now, sometimes it can be a little more nuanced and a little more definitive, like, okay, the study they're using to disprove this was actually done, you know, here's the well-known fallacies or the well-known drawbacks, or the methodology was lacking in this way, where the other one, the experiment wasn't, or the way they went about it wasn't flawed. But usually it's, okay, do you believe this expert or this one? And that's usually when you hear people say, oh, well, they went to this university. Everyone knows that university is stupid. And it's like, come on, guys. Argue based on merit. If you're going to accept one expert, you have to accept the other one. But there's always, the point is, there's always somebody else on their side, arguing. And, yeah, so I was just very curious, but I put it in a way that I wasn't. I did say, because he called me. What does he call me? Something like. So it was some condescending term. It wasn't profane, but it was a condescending term, and I just said, hey, thanks so much for the reply. I would say that I appreciate a little more articulation and a little less, accusation, because it was a word that was, it was something like liar, but a little more aggressive. Just again saying, hey, you don't need to insult me to make your point. And in fact, if you're going to spend time insulting me, you need to make sure you articulate your point really well, which you didn't do. And I said, hey, I would learn to love from this mistake, but you know, you just calling me a liar doesn't really help me grow. So, I mean, I wasn't lying exactly. I am curious and I would like to learn, but mostly was fairly certain the guy was just a loop-de-loo. And, but you know, it doesn't hurt to put that, because you know, who knows? Maybe he's like, oh, and he clarifies his position. You go, oh, well, you were making a completely different point. I was speaking directly to this. Yes, in that case, if you're talking about, you know, in the past 5 years, for whatever reason, if he didn't say but insinuated, or in his mind was thinking that this happened in the past 5 years, or that it was about this or because of something, I could say, oh, okay, yeah, no, you didn't really, that didn't come across very well. You know, you really didn't mention that, to be fair. But yes, based on the criteria you're now saying, or based on the reality you're now describing, then yeah, I would agree with you. But more than likely knowing, he's just a whacked out dude with very I mean, you saw a lot of the stuff he did. It had nothing to do with the comments he made elsewhere. Weren't really rational comments. They weren't helpful. They were just insulting in general. And so after I read those, I regretted my decision a little bit more. I was like, because you know, there's principles. There are certain people who are foolish or who sound foolish. We finally got our win! Yay! But there's a difference between people who are a little deceived and just need a little correction or need a little truth, and then there are just people like him that you just become stupider by speaking with them. Like you stoop to their level. Not by virtue of their opinion being different than yours, but by virtue of their opinion having no substance and their comments being rife with, you know, just anger and frustration, clearly at life in general or certain people, who knows. But he, you know, actually responded back, said, I've tried to reply, but YouTube keeps deleting my reply. I'll respond later. That was about a day ago. So he may still respond, but I'm skeptical. I think that's more of, didn't really expect anybody to kind of push back a little bit. But again, I didn't do it in a way that was, you know, because if you pull the power out, like if I were to go and attack him and make fun of him or call him a name, and that's what you usually see. It's very rare that somebody escalates it with an attack or an accusation that the other person doesn't then respond and say, oh yeah, well, like your way is so much better, you blah blah blah. But if you diffuse it, they really, I mean, one, if it's any kind of semblance of a rational human being, they're going to back down a little, because you're not purposely going after them. You're not attacking them in kind. It's like, okay, explain yourself. And I've done that. Another comment as well. Somebody said, I think he called me Cupcake or something like that. He was like, calm down, Cupcake. It's not policy. It's just a concept. And I said, and again, once again, saying, hey, you don't need to use that word. It's not. If it doesn't help you make your case, it's not worth mentioning. But you know, I said, if you, I said, well, I'm based on my experience, it is policy. I've actually seen it written out and it's executed and it's adhered to. So concept is, you know, more ineffable. It's something that you just are thinking about. Policy is, it's stated, it's on the books. The company runs by it. Rules are built around it. To me, that's a policy. I said, but if you want to clarify what you mean, the difference, what you're, in your mind, the difference between a concept and a policy, that may help me understand your perspective better. So it is a genuine thing, at the same time knowing, more than likely, he's not going to provide that clarification, because it's very easy to say, you know, to say the words that you want to say, but then as soon as you have to actually back them up with a definition or clarify your point, you're kind of at a loss, because that's not the truth. The truth is not that it's, you know, this particular thing is a concept. It's been enacted.
What can I get for you?
And I'll say, admittedly, silence is just as rewarding as a retort. Even though I personally have done the thing where, you know, I'm having a dialogue with somebody where I have a few comments, and eventually I get tired of it, and I just go, okay, like, I'll let you have the last say. I don't care. I don't need to. Most of the time, I feel like the people have said, they've had the mask off moment where it's like anybody who's reading the comments are going to see that person for who they are or see their opinion for what it is. I don't need to win the argument. In fact, sometimes getting out of a discussion like that is smarter and there's much more valor
Really
involved.
hard to find a moral to the story other
excuse me.
than
Sticking with
violence
it.
is good, but it's not coming.
Darn you, Moxie. So we did finish it earlier than I remembered, but I'm happy to see that I think it only took me 3 or 4 tries before I figured it out, or I finally committed to the strategy that I needed to in order to win. And that's Borderlands in general. It may take, if you haven't played before, it may take you a few minutes to understand what the strategy is, what you're supposed to do, what the best way to go about it is.
To say, open quotes, put the gun down, period. Sexy things are overrated. It is time for love. You will collect romantic gifts while I put words of romance into an echo recorder. First, fetch me a cigar. The Hodunk bridesmaids may have some.
Okay, so yeah, so we rallied and we got it sorted out, but now we're finishing the quests, and strangely enough, got about 30 minutes left. So I'm thinking, yeah, so we're gonna get the side quests done, but then we're gonna do the thresher farming or the thresher catching. You can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dangly lines with little fishies on there. You can see it there in the right corner. And we'll be coming back for those because I've never done it before. I didn't know what was going to happen. Maybe we'll unlock some raid boss or something. I think I knew better than that because at this point we know where all the raid bosses are, and I don't think there is one here, but there we go. A little bit of fishy. And there goes Thresher. So yeah, I think they get harder and they get more. There's more of them later on, but those are the worst ones. The black hole threshers where they just suck you in and spike you to death. Those are rough. Those are really rough. Carnage! Oh, the carnage! Funny story. In high school, my last year in high school, we finally got. Well, we had it before then, but about 2 years before that, we got our first in-house computer. It was a Mac. It was the old style Mac where it was kind of like, I guess maybe the first iMac, where it was the computer and the screen all in one, but it was a tiny monitor. It was about this big, little guy. All white, and we only used it for basic word processing. At that point, there was really nothing more you could do with it. But I used that to print out my papers for creative writing class. But it was using an old printer, not dot matrix, but still a really old one, and to the point where things weren't quite as clear. The letters, the way they were printed out, wasn't quite as distinct. So I had a friend reading my paper. And he says, you know, there was so much cammage that the cammage was so prevalent that the people ran in fear. And I was like, cammage? I don't remember writing cammage. I looked at it and it was carnage, but the R and the N kind of ran together because of the bad print quality. It looked like cammage. And he, I guess, didn't want to seem silly. So instead of just saying, wait, what the heck is this word? He just said it as if it was part of the story. It was like, oh, the cammage. So from that point on, for the rest of the year, we had a standing joke between us. It was like, oh, the cammage. Oh, the cammage. It's kind of fun. Laugh, damn it. But to this day, anytime I think of carnage, I first think of cabbage. But unfortunately, good technology has made that obsolete. There may have been other people who have also had that experience of the R and the N next to each other sounding or looking like an M and having all kinds of miscommunications with it and frivolity and what have you. But now that our printers are much more accurate and the resolution's higher, it's you don't have fun things like that anymore. But it's crazy to think there was a time, because they wanted you to learn penmanship, you weren't allowed to write your papers on a computer or a typewriter. You had to handwrite them. That was most of my high school. It wasn't until college that college was the first place where you were not allowed to turn in a handwritten paper. And part of that, I think, is just fairness, because the schools weren't providing computers. They had computer labs and stuff, but you didn't have access to them after school. And so it was kind of like, well, okay, we're not gonna make kids use a typewriter because that's brutal, and we can't require it to be on a computer because not everybody has a computer, and back then they were super expensive. So, you know, I think it was good and fair. But when you got to college, they didn't care about that because they had computer labs you could use 24/7. In fact, I think that's what I did for the first year, if I remember correctly, with my little 3.5-inch floppy. It's a clear orange color floppy disk. That's what I put all 20 of my Word documents on. But yeah, in college, which was what, 98, the summer of 98? Starting at that point, everything you turned in could not be handwritten, had to be typed. You could probably use a typewriter if you wanted to, but that was suicide. Luckily, I'd had the foresight to take a keyboarding elective class, which I still maintain is the only useful class I took between high school and college, in terms of what I used on a daily basis and to any great extent. My kind of shooting. I can hit you, you can't hit me. Well, kind of, sort of, mostly. Not always. Yeah, so I'm getting wrecked. Losing my stuff. But luckily, again, the Dandy Volcano is putting in good work and compensating for some not smart. I'm not being stupid here, but I'm not really doing anything particularly smart. I should probably be changing my position so that only one thresher can get to me at one time, but I'm awesome, so I don't care. Y'all can't hurt me, even though I only got the bee. That was me realizing, oh, I don't have a fish for that. Unfortunately. But I think at some point I'm going to discover there's like a drying rack where the fish go on, and yeah, there's a whole little side quest here, and yep, I don't think that's it either. Nope. Gotta have the fish on there, old Schward. You gotta put the fish on. Don't do that. That's not going to help you. I think I was just hoping, because otherwise, and I think we end up doing this. That's why it keeps going. I think we end up going on a search for the extra fish. Where are the fish? Which is, it's not a particularly fun thing. I'm not a big hunt. I like the battles. I don't like hunting and foraging for quest items, especially when they're not like on a map. It's not like, oh, go in this general area and you'll be able to find the thing somewhere in this general area. It's like you just got to go and hope you find a fish. Very weird to hear the bandit, or the psycho bandit voice line with a character that looks relatively sane and human. Badass so don't. We'll see about that. Not bad, sir, but I was better. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Confession. When I look at Moxie, I feel a sharp pain in my hypothetical stomach. Though she is my mother, I feel an intense love for her. Is this normal?
That's messed up, man.
Says the cannibal.
Hey, Vault Hunter, what's up?
Hey, girl, can I have your wig?
Oh, into my friend or foe subroutines. If I were to remove it, I'd go insane and probably die.
Cool. I kind of need it for a quest, though.
It's kind of heartbreaking at some point. You kind of have to just ignore what you do as a character. Just, But they didn't suffer long. I guess that's our consolation. Sorry, admittedly I'm a little bit. I'm kind of in a bit of a time crunch to get certain things done, just because this is going to be a very busy week for me. Or in fact, this has been a busy week. If you're watching this, it's already been a busy week. Things aren't going to settle down until about the 25th, 26th or so.
Innuendo Bot nabbed a few romantic comedy fits off the Echo Night. They may have scrambled his own.
So when that happens, when I know I've got a busy week, I try to get everything done in advance. And I made the mistake of trying to pack in a little too much today, but it's too late to back out now. So I do apologize. This might not have quite the zest of some other ones, but I also, honestly, don't really have a whole lot to say at this point. We already talked about last episode. We did talk about the Borderlands movie and just how abysmal it looks, and it was kind of refreshing, because sometimes you see something and it looks absolutely atrocious, but yet there's always going to be somebody that's like, I'm going to check it out because it looks like it could be fun. Or, well, I think they screwed up in 50 different ways, but they might have got this one thing right, and I want to see that one thing. Or, why are you guys downing it if you haven't seen it? That whole nonsense. Like, you can tell. You can tell whether something's worth a damn. Like, you may not be able to see if it's, like, awesome, but you're like, that looks pretty cool. I don't quite understand what's going on, but it looks pretty cool. It looks interesting. Or, okay, they went a different direction with it, but it could play out if they do X, Y, and Z. And then sometimes you look at it, like, there's no way this goes well. There's no way this is based on anything that I enjoyed from the games, and that's the case with Borderlands. And happily, there's really nobody out there defending that movie. And it's not like I don't hate it. I have no animosity towards it. It hasn't really done anything that makes me go, I don't want to see you. It's just, it ain't Borderlands. Kevin Hart is rolling. It's not Borderlands. Why we have, Kate Blanchett or Blanchett, or however you say her name. Like, she's a great actress. Why is she playing a 30-year-old? Or 28-year-old, even. It's noticeable. Jamie Lee Curtis, why is she playing a 30-something-year-old? Like, these are not in any way, shape, or form the right casting. The only thing I could think maybe is that they couldn't get anybody else, and while I just don't know. I just don't know why. It's a mystery to me, but I'm sure if we knew behind the scenes, everything would be like, oh. But, like, why actors choose certain roles. And, I mean, a lot of it has to do with they're given a script. They're like, hey, I like the script. And some of it's vanity, because they look at it and go, okay, well, my part's awesome. I don't know about the whole script, but my part is really cool. I mean, I'm sure most of them, I'm sure a number of them look at the whole script, look at it holistically, and they go through it and they decide whether or not the story is something they like. But I think a lot of them can just go, yeah, my role looks pretty cool. Or my role is very minimal. They want to pay me how much to do how little? Okay, that sounds great. But then there's sometimes where you're like, I don't know how the original script could be so far from this one that it would have been digestible in its first draft or when it was presented to them. Like, but then you wonder, okay, do they owe each other favors? Do they say, hey, so and so is going to cast you in this movie, but he wants you to be in this other movie next year? That they kind of do package. Sorry, a little plosive there. They do package deals where you're able to get cash for this, but then you have to agree to work on another project maybe that hasn't even been named yet. And so you just sign on and just hope it's not the worst thing in the world, which unfortunately for anybody who's in Borderlands, it is. But I gotta believe that's it. I can't just literally be people getting excited. And when you have the pedigree, I mean, Jamie Lee Curtis has been around for forever. I mean, I think the only thing I really saw her in that I really liked or that I remember her in is True Lies. And kind of, I mean, because I never watched the Halloween. I think she's in the Halloween series. I never watched that. So maybe she hasn't had that much. For some reason in my head, she's been in everything. But now I'm thinking about it, like, oh, I think that's really the only movie that I can remember her in. That I saw and that I actually enjoyed. And same with Kate Blanchett. I mean, I know she's an accomplished actress, but the only movie that I've seen her in that I remember her in is Lord of the Rings. It was a smaller part. I mean, I do remember she was in, arguably, probably not the best choice, but she worked okay as the villain in Thor Ragnarok. Hela, I think her name was. She was fine as that. I don't know why they went with her necessarily for that. I think there were probably some other actors that could have, a little bit younger that might have been able to play that part. But you can argue, hey, it's a goddess of war and whatever. She's been around. Who knows, what she would exactly look like. There's no. Whereas in Borderlands, like, no, this character is definitely 28 years old, and you are definitely not pulling off anything close to that. So who knows? Maybe despite public perception, they just weren't getting a lot of roles offered. Or maybe this was like the best of the worst. I don't know. But the bottom line is, it's not something for an audience to ingest. It's something for somebody's career, to make some money, put some food on the table. And that's about it. But in a time where you wonder, like, where the sanity has gone, especially if you see a lot of people with a certain opinion that seems to be very, very different from your own, you go, wait, that Skinner from Simpsons moment where he's like, am I out of touch? No, it's everybody else. So sometimes you have to wonder, okay, am I just way too critical? Am I too judgmental? Are my views too narrow, or is my vision too narrow to appreciate the grander things? But then there are times like this where you're like, nope, okay, at least in this particular case, I saw it as, and I thought I was going to be the only one. I was like, hey, as soon as I saw Roland was cast as, or Hart was cast as Roland, I knew this wasn't going to work out well. And then, of course, I scrolled down. It's always good, if you can, to scroll down and see the comments first. And there was like 35 people that said the same thing in not so many words. Which was cool, but at the same time, all I did was add to the cacophony. I didn't really present any. But it did affirm that it is that obvious. Like, I wasn't off key. Nobody saw that casting coming. What am I doing? Okay, that's what it was. I was waiting for it to trigger and not realizing that you had to go down to the fishing pool to make it trigger. So Moby, it's always bad when your enemy has a name. It means they've been given some extra special attention. Probably were crafted uniquely and with great malice of forethought. We're doing all right, but again, we'd love to have the bee right now. But we don't, so we're making it happen with. That's what I mean. Slag is a big deal. Obviously, it's almost overpowered in this particular playthrough. But as you get going further in the game, True Vault Hunter mode and beyond, you're gonna want to do a lot more slagging and then shooting. And that's where dual wield comes in really handy. Uniquely, you can do both. Although you have, Maya? You can upgrade her power to do slag damage, so you can do damage to it while slagging it. It drops out, and then you just light it up with whatever weapon you have, and you'll be all right. So yeah, so there's the little rack there where we're putting our very, very shrunken pelts. I mean, I know when things dry, they get a little bit smaller, but my gosh, they go from Godzilla size down to salamander size. It's kind of crazy. Oh, can't fish with a tire. That's kind of sad, isn't it? You see the tire sitting there, and it's like it's something that you'd think would be fun, But in the Borderlands environment with the threshers down there, like who the heck wants to try to swing it? You got this nasty water, although it is pretty clear. It doesn't look all that bad. If you took the threshers out of it, it'd probably be okay. You got fresh water coming down from the waterfall there. But it's something that is normal and usually would be something envious, something to be envied in real life. It's like, wow, it's cool, you guys got a tire swing over the lake. That's really cool. But in Borderlands, everything is so messed up that it's actually just like kind of creepy. Like who wants to? All right. Well, he's not somebody I can kill. Do I talk to him? I think I do. Maybe not. I think I may get distracted by this big fella, and I don't end up talking to that guy, which would kind of suck. We're just getting wrecked here. Oh boy. Yeah. Fire Kraken. I think there's one of the abilities we don't get it in this playthrough, but I think there's one where you can actually throw grenades, or at least 1 or 2 grenades in Fight for Your Life, which would help a lot. But I think that might be down a different skill tree than the one we're on now.
Do not worry about the afterlife, Hyperion customer. Hell is reserved exclusively for pedophiles and people who buy Jacob's munitions.
That's funny, as
You are pretty, but your hair looks like a drowning burn victim. Wear this
He's not
wig
wrong.
and love me forever.
No.
Acknowledged. Take the second Valentine to Zafford, Nathaniel.
she's got big hands.
And we will
Good
love
gravy,
with
those are big
pure
hands.
bluntness.
I mean, I guess in Pandora you gotta be a little bigger than the average stock there, because you gotta survive. But yeah, I think we missed Nathaniel there. I don't know that we go back to him. I think I totally forgot about him, which sucks because I'm pretty sure I've never triggered that quest. I mean, right off, I was thinking I'm gonna get a few shots with the bee, whittle him down to half health, and then rush in, and it's like, nope, he's hitting me from far away. But at least see, our health is regenerating. We're doing okay. Doing okay. Health is coming back some more. Yep, we got him on the ropes now, boys. Got him on the ropes. Finish him off, boys. Send Firecracker packing. Send Firecracken packing. Firecracker packing. Sweet iridium bricks, I guess you call it. Longbow Tesla. That ain't no fastball. I want to say that's the last one, but I'm really, for some reason, I just have a bad feeling that we don't actually get to unlock that chest. I think we get right up to it, and I'm just like, I can't find the last fish, so I'm not gonna get it. What am I doing? What is this? Stop it! You don't need to stop. Just to be fair, okay, I'm not hoarding. I'm just checking to make sure there's nothing there that's better than what I have. So yeah, there's one more. And I'm just standing there incredulously like, are you kidding me? And it looks like it's a smaller one. Like, yeah. But, I mean, I don't know where the next fish is. Okay, I see him. Looks like I'm seeing him. Come on, past me. Do a thing. Yes. Yes.
Here is a cigar.
Oh, that's just part of the natural quest. Dag nabbit.
Lust. Marry me immediately.
I'm good.
Understood. We must now attempt the nuclear option. Bring the last Valentine to Moxie, that I may pour out my heart and soul to her.
Yeah, never a good idea to do that to Moxie. She's not a fan of clingy. I mean, she did let Marcus live, and she wasn't even going to kill Shank from the first game. You know, I guess that's true. There actually is quite a bit on the side quest. There's a little more character, especially for Moxie. Is she in the bar? Where do we meet Moxie in the first game?
Moxie, my love for you keeps my gears turning, just as sure as that can of smelly grease. Marry me.
Vault Hunter, go kill Innuendo Bot.
But Why, I thought love was like a shield bar, to be whittled down by the bullets of persistence.
No, that's called stalking.
Well, case in point, or case in fact in case, fact in point in fact, point of fact, Moxie. It's only stalking if you do not appreciate the advances. Otherwise, it is considered courting, pursuit, or just nice. Like, you know, if a guy leaves a girl a rose on the hood of her car, and she's into him, it's a sweet thing. Oh, it's so sweet. Oh, he left you a rose. Oh, yeah, because he really likes me. If you don't like him, it's creepy.
Oh, maybe leave him alone. Sounds like he's learned his lesson.
Successful.
Never mind. Waste him.
I was like, wait, did they give me a choice to spare him or not? And I just lit him up? That's not cool. But no.
Chunk his AI core and reprogram it from scratch. Come on back, Vault Hunter.
That's right. She's in yeah, she's got her own little thing out in the, not in the dust. I can't remember where it is, but I was just remembering where she's at in Borderlands 1. I was like, where is Mox? I know she's in the first one, but I don't remember because she's not, there's no sanctuary. There's no like localized thing. She's not in Firestone. But then I remembered she's in the desert out there somewhere. I started doing a playthrough of Borderlands 1 on Rumble. So if you're watching this on Rumble, on here, if you're watching on YouTube, on Rumble. But unfortunately, whether it was high bandwidth or just a bad day on my end, I don't know what it was, but I was below, like, I was around, always under 2,000 kilobytes or megabytes per second, whatever the upload speed is. Was ridiculously low. We were at 75 to 80% dropped frames. It was really bad. For all I played it for 20 minutes and I was like, all right, I can't keep doing this. I did record it for posterity, happily, but it was still pretty messed up. So I'm not going to try again until, I mean, I'm if I'm not mistaken, in the new place, I'll be able to hardline into the interwebs, and that makes me very happy. That's what I was doing before I moved here in the condo. I had the hardline running into the computer, and that. Okay, there we go. They actually had the fish. So I did this in complete wrong order is what ended up happening. They actually had one that has a fish. You know, teach a man to fish. So there was a fish there. You put it on the rope, put it on the pole. You pull it up and you get a thresher. I did it all backwards and found the fish as I was playing, and then the very last one is this little guy right here. So Sigmund should have been the first one we fought. He's a little guy, not very formidable. Went down without much of a fight. So I guess I was a lot keener back when I played this. I obviously the one guy was part of the quest. And I knew that as I was playing. So that took care of that. And then here, I actually did, in fact, get all of them done. I get to open the chest. I'll tell you what, it must not have been awesome. Yeah, look at that. I mean, that is cool. I forgot it was such a stinker. Like, not even an epic in that entire chest. I did all of that, and there wasn't... I mean, I get it. I wasn't necessarily expecting a legendary, but something some small thing that's like, oh, this is pretty cool. Because it's a lot of work. That's a lot of thresher killing, a lot of hunting for the fish. It just really did not pay off well. All we get for our troubles is an ambush from the Zaffas and Hodunks, and that's just not cool. So almost as anticlimactic as beating Borderlands 1. But not quite that bad. One thing I do like that dynamic in Borderlands 2 where, and even in Borderlands 1 with the class mods, you can have a build, you know, be building your character a certain way and wanting to go that way, but then you get this really, really high-end class mod and you're like, okay, you know what? I really want to make use of this, so I'm gonna respec, because you can do that at any point, you respec my character to make use of it, and just see what happens. See how good I can be with this, giving me extra 2 or 3 points in like 4 different categories. I mean, it's definitely going to make you really good. Just, you know, is it better than what you had? But it encourages you to explore different builds, because rarely do I ever get a class mod, especially a legendary one, that is in line with the build that I want. Yeah, looks like that is going to do it for us today, folks. So again, I do apologize for a little bit of the lethargy, a little bit of the low energy. It was definitely a little bit of a struggle, but yeah, thanks for sticking with me, and we'll catch you on the next one.